What's up? Welcome back to the Blonde Highlights podcast. We are so excited that you're here today. Today, we are going to be talking about everything relationship red flags. If you can see me, I'm wearing red. I didn't actually do this on purpose, but I just realized how friggin' fitting. But we are so excited that you're here, and let's get into it. First of all, Kyle, what's going on?
We're here. It's a good day. I didn't think about you wearing the red shirt like that. You are the red flag. You are the red flag.
And a walking, talking red flag. And like, that's me. Like, this is as honest as it can be. Transparency is key.
Exactly. What's going on with you? What have you been up to?
Yeah, I've been trying to survive the last little bit of winter we have here. And if you're Canadian, you know that sometimes the sunnier it is outside, the colder it is, which is like super depressing because you get super excited to be like, oh my God, it's a nice day. I'm going to go out. And then you step outside and it's like friggin' 21 below. So I've just been dealing with the weather. I had some work this week and I've just been stalking Sabrina Carpenter.
What did she do? What's new with her?
Okay. So we know she did the Brit Awards and then now she did her Dublin tour. Her full tours back on it. She was in Dublin and she revealed some new outfits. So yeah, I've just been loving watching her tours again. This week, I was listening to the Mel Robbins podcast, or I saw a clip of it on my Instagram. And it said that if you want to eliminate some of your social media time by at least like 55 minutes, just set your phone into grayscale.
You told me that you were doing that. But how does that help? Is it just because it's not as like flashy with the color?
It's honestly, like so here's the thing. Here's the pros and cons, okay? So I see how it works because when I pick up my phone, it's just like flat or it's just like white and gray, everything. So even if I take a photo of myself, photo of the kids, whatever, it's all white and gray. And at first I was like, oh my God, okay, this is really helpful. This is really like, it's helping. Anytime I go on social media, I would not stay on very long. But by the end of it, I was like, it's actually hurting my eyes and it's actually just like a little depressing. And when I turned it back to the regular settings of color. Oh my God. It was just like, it was like I just like taking a drug or something. It was just like, oh my God, all the pretty colors. Like even my email has pretty colors in it. So there's benefits to it. I do think that it does work, but I think it also needs to be done in moderation because otherwise you're still using your phone, but it's just really ugly and draining.
Exactly. I don't know. I feel like in the world that we live in today, this is like scientifically true. There is way less color in the world now than there was even 20 years ago. And so I don't know. I don't know if I'm fully down with the grayscale of it all because I'm like, we need the color in life.
Yes, as soon as it came on, it was like, it made me feel happy. And then it made me think of like, like beige moms that just do like the whole house beige. They do like all their kids' stuff beige. It's like, whenever those kids go to like a school or like a play date or something and there's color, I was like, I wonder if they feel the same thing that I felt during my phone off grayscale. Because they just see beige, right? Like everything around them is beige.
That is the craziest thing. I can't imagine being like growing up completely beige one color because you're saying that you had this like euphoric feeling when the color came back. And that's exactly what it is. Like color is, I don't know. I just feel like the dismantling of bright colors is like oppressive almost in a way. And it takes away like the joys of life a bit. And so I am very much for like pro color everything. Like, yes, I feel like there needs to be the brightest colors, the brightest wall paints, the whatever. Like we have to like, color is one of those like magical things on earth that needs to be celebrated.
It does. Oh my God. We're onto something. Except for like, we can cool it on some of the wall paints. Like my aunt, love her. One time she did her house like highlighter yellow. And when you walked in, it was like, holy damn. And then you go upstairs and it was like purple. And it was like, I felt like a little dizzy being there sometimes. I was like, holy shit, this house needs to calm down. Like, little too much.
I grew up with like the burgundy living room in the 90s.
Yeah, same. Pink carpet.
Oh my God. No, we didn't have pink carpet. But burgundy was...
Oh, our basement was like the color of like your background right now. We used to call it the green room. And like the whole basement was like green like that and green carpet. Like
Oh,
full 90s. Yeah.
green on green.
Green on green on green.
I love that.
What's been going on with you?
I mean, it's just been, you know what? I would like to say that it's been like the busiest week ever, but I really haven't done much.
Hate that.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I've just been so busy
Yes.
doing nothing. I mean, not nothing, definitely not that. But I just haven't like done a lot, but I just feel like it's been so busy.
I hate when that happens. Like when I'm super busy, I want to feel like I'm doing stuff. I love feeling productive. I hate when I'm super busy and it's like exactly what you said. It feels like you've done nothing. It just feels counterproductive.
Exactly.
You know?
I will say though, do you remember how we were talking about Bad Baby and Alabama Barker and all the drama?
Damn, Alabama.
So you know how like her brother keeps playing that same song from The Fray like on repeat over and over again?
Yeah.
And I would probably have never thought about that band ever until I saw a video from them yesterday.
From the Fray?
Yeah. Now I'm a fan.
Oh my God. Okay.
Have you ever seen them?
No.
You understand.
Are they hot?
Yeah, they're hot. They're hot.
I don't care. I'm doing it. Nope.
Release the lead singer is. I did not realize that it was like that.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Okay. Okay, who's the one with the curly hair? Oh my God.
I don't know, but now we're fans of The Fray, I
This
guess.
guy's hair needs to chill. I don't look. I see where you're going with this. Yeah, I see the appeal. But some of these guys look very different when they change their hair.
Oh, okay.
That's all I'm gonna.
Yeah. And I don't know what photo you're seeing.
I'm seeing a lot, but I see what you're saying. How old are they?
I don't know. I don't know nothing about them.
Yeah, all I know is that one song by them. Oh no, maybe two songs by now. They definitely look like they should have like more of like a alternative rock feel instead of like the feel that they're putting out.
Okay.
You know? So I'm still not on TikTok. Is there anything that you need to report?
I think the only thing that you're missing on TikTok right now is that it's Paris Fashion Week and you're missing out on like so many good like catwalks and stuff like that. And I mean, maybe that's over on Instagram, but I don't think so.
No, I'm not really seeing a lot. On Instagram, I'm seeing a lot, which I love, is the complaining about the how far back we've taken a step in body inclusion, body diversity on the runway. That's what I'm seeing about Paris Fashion Week.
Okay, yeah.
So I haven't seen a lot of the runways, and everything's been black and gray on my phone, so I haven't even been watching anything.
This sounds terrible. And that's the thing is that I told myself too, and then you're doing a really good job at this goal because I told myself that I was going to follow the same goal. And I really just haven't cut back that much at all. Last night, I did stop and like read a book.
Oh my God.
Yes. She's very literary. I read like a few chapters of a book. I put the phone down.
God. Would you like to share that book title with us, or is this private?
It's very private.
It can be private. Yeah.
It's a private book.
Very private. Yes. I've actually been listening to, okay, right now, hold on. Right now, there's a big trend of book going on right now. It's called The Court of Thorns.
Okay.
It's supposed to be like a hot, whatever, like a hot, one of those erotica books mixed with like story and fantasy, whatever. And I decided, my friend's like, look, get the audiobook because I don't have a lot of time for reading, but I love books. And I cannot for the life of me get into it. So I was like, okay, I need to do something else. So I got the Gypsy Rose audiobook.
Did you?
Yes. And she narrates it herself. And it's very interesting because she's actually talking about like everything that happened, like her childhood, the night when everything happened, leading up to it. So it's kind of interesting to hear everything from her actual perspective because over the past like 10 years, it's just like documentaries or whatever that have been like portraying it. So now she's like coming clean about like everything. And it's very, very interesting. I'll try to send it to you.
Oh my God. Should we start a Blonde Highlights book club?
Oh my God, don't even get me started. I want to be a part of a book club so badly. But here's the thing is that like I want to be the only one that chooses to do.
Oh, okay. But I do like to put like the Audible on and like listen to a book while I'm like doing some power walking or something. But you know who has a new Exactly. Do you know who has a new book that I want? I already downloaded it. I'm going to listen to it. Is Chelsea Handler.
Ooh, that would be interesting.
Yeah, I forget off the top of my head what title it is, but I definitely am going to listen to her book. Probably going to start today, because I've read all of her books that she has. It's always been like an inspiration for me, just like her coming from comedy, but also the fact that she writes a lot, and that's one of my biggest dreams is to write a book. I've written many chapters of several different books, and I eventually want to finish them. But so I'm very excited to listen to this newest book of hers.
You're going to have to tell me what it is. I want to listen to Jessica Simpson's book because lately I've actually had an online obsession with Jessica Simpson because right before I deleted TikTok, there were all these posts of her and the newlyweds, and like she was just so pure, and like just like Nick did not deserve her. Like he's such a dick. And I refollowed her because I had followed her, and then like I went through a whole thing where I like unfollowed people, and then I refollowed her again because I'm like, I love when I see her on my page, and she's just come out with a new song which I haven't listened to yet, but I want to hear her book because she talks a lot about all the struggles that she's had.
Yeah, and I think she talks about like her alcoholism and different things. Yeah, I want to listen to that too. That's the thing is I want enough time to like be able to like read all these books, listen to all these books, because I love an autobiography. Love an autobiography. And so this is also crazy too, is an old friend of mine who has a book coming out right this week, actually.
Ooh.
And I was there during like a pivotal part of her life. And so there's a part of me that's like curious if I get a little like side mention.
Like a little cameo appearance in the book.
Maybe not even be named, but I'm curious to see if there's a little like, if my name or my persona
memory or something.
Yes, makes a little like dent in there. So I'm curious to read that actually. But that's my biggest thing. Like I've listened to all of the books or read all the books from all of the housewives. Like that, like the Real Housewives, the OGs, when they come out with their autobiography, I am 100% on it. That's like the first thing I do.
Oh my God. I have never read one of them. Imagine your friend like shit talk you in their book.
Oh, imagine.
You're like, I'm waiting. I want to see like, you know, if I mean like a little cameo appearance. And they're just like, yeah. And then there was this like woman, her name's Kyle, and like just goes off.
No, that was literally.
She had like an alter ego that she calls Pam, and just like purely shit talks.
This particular person has never seen me drunk, but that would be hilarious. That would be hilarious. And you know what? I would still plug myself. Be like, look, I'm that crazy bitch she's talking about right here.
This is me. Oh my God. What's your highlight this week?
My highlight is that I read a freaking book last night. That's what my highlight is.
Yeah, okay. She is a great highlight.
Yes, that's what it is. And what happened is I just like, I had a moment. I'm scrolling TikTok endlessly, just scroll. And I was like, you know what? Put the phone down and read a book. And then you know what I did? Put the phone down, grabbed it again, opened Instagram, scrolled. And I was just like, Kyle, put the phone down. Put it down.
Yep.
Don't waste any more time. Read the damn book. Like you've been wanting to read this damn book. Read the book. And so I did.
Read the damn book, Kyle.
Read the damn book. And so that was, you know, a big moment for me pushing in the right direction. She's reading. So that is my highlight for sure. Like,
I love that. And what's your low light?
My low light is that it is daylight savings time, or like what is today? It's like move forward, spring forward, or sprung forward.
Spring forward, fall back. Yeah.
Yes, we spring forwarded, and I'm exhausted. I'm tired because I forgot to go to sleep an hour earlier, and I already stay up too late anyways. And so it really threw me off this morning.
It threw me off this morning when I slept in till 10:30, and I cannot tell you the last time that I've done that. And Michael messaged me because he was up, and he was just like, he heard me like, walking around upstairs. He was like, holy sleepyhead. And I came downstairs and I was like, what the hell? And he's like, oh, it's daylight savings. I was like, okay, so I only slept till 9:30, which is like fine for a weekend. But I was like, I couldn't believe how late I slept. But I'm the same, like it's gonna throw me right off. I'm gonna be an emotional wreck this week.
Yeah, this morning I drove up to like the top of my street to run into like the liquor store to get a energy drink. And as I came up there was like nobody on the road. It was like desolate. And this was at 9 a.m. And then the store wasn't even open yet. Like I think somebody like was still using like a non-digital clock and forgot to set it forward because they didn't open when they were supposed to open. And like the roads were kind of empty. And I was like, yeah, everyone's a hot mess right now.
I was wondering if like it was gonna affect the studio time because I was like, does everybody know? Because if I forgot, then I know other people forgot it. So my highlight this week is that I through a lot of like planning and brainstorming, I think I have a new inspo for my social media. Like how we were talking about last week, like sometimes it's so hard to get motivated to do it and like put yourself out there and whatever. And I've been in a rut. But I think I have some ideas and I actually feel excited to start shooting content again. So, excuse me. So that's my highlight. Whether or not I'll stick to it, we'll see.
I saw you sent me the post and I'm totally down with the new personality. I am so excited for this personality, this era.
Well, because I'm such a happy and bubbly person, but when you go on my social media, you don't see that. I kind of look like I'm a bitch. Like I look just like, I always just have like the same face. Like I don't do much. And I feel like I feel like I was just like looking back, I'm like, this is so lame. Like I just look like grumpy. And I'm like, that's not me at all. Like I'm happy, I'm excited, I'm vibrant, I'm bubbly. Like I want to start showing that side of me. So like actually who I am and not kind of what I thought like I should be doing. So I'm happy that I've kind of like really figured that out. My low light though, I'm actually going to give it a title. It's called Lips in the Wind, not those ones. Okay. It's so my low light this week is I love a lip gloss. Okay. I always have it. I have lip oil. Like it's so good. I've been using the fat oil this week and every single time, like I do my hair, right? And I have my hair down and it's nice. And I leave the friggin' house and a gust of wind will come and my hair will stick to my lips. And it is the grossest, most like frustrating feeling. I'm trying to like get it off. And then of course my hair gets like the lip gloss on it. So as I'm pulling it off my face, it's like the lip gloss is like sliding up it's like fighting with a fucking cotton candy machine. It's just like all the hair, the stickiness. It's just like, and it has happened to me probably like every single day this week. Cause like I've been trying to like put it on this week, like lately, like she's in a rut. So I have to like really, really overextend myself in the beauty department right now. So like every single time I'm outside, even in conversation, it's like my hair blows and it's stuck. And then sometimes I'm like talking to people and I can feel it. And I'm just trying so hard not to pull it off because I know it's just going to like slide up my face like a freaking paintbrush.
Amen. Amen, sister. Yes.
Amen. Lips in the wind.
I think that honestly, how has nobody invented a lip gloss that doesn't do that isn't sticky?
Oh my God.
Because it's the bane of my existence. Have you ever swallowed a chunk of your hair on accident?
Yeah. And like that.
And then you like gag?
You like die for a second.
Yes.
Like, it's like the grossest thing you could. Oh my God. Like, it's like the grossest thing you can swallow.
Oh my God. No, it's happened to me. Okay. So there's this hilarious video of me and I was with my friend and we're in Vegas and we're in this like crazy penthouse suite. And there was a song and I'm like literally jumping around the suite. And then my friend was randomly taking the video. And as I like come down, like I kind of got like close to him and I like inhaled and the chunk of my hair went down my throat and I gagged and it made the craziest sound. And I literally, this video is so freaking funny. And my other friend who took the video sends it to me all the time. And it's like, do you remember this? Do you remember this? And then it's happened to me when I'm performing, like doing a stand-up. Like sometimes if I don't have everything memorized, I'll be reading from like off, looking at my phone, whatever, in one hand and the mic in the other hand. And so then my bangs, if it's down, it'll get like inhaled down my throat and I'll like gag on stage. It's so embarrassing.
Oh my God. You know what else is another weird feeling with the hair though?
What?
Do you know what I'm going to say?
No.
Especially when you have long hair. When your hair falls down the back of your pants. And then like, have you ever like have like an itch at like your lower back and then you pull it and it's a hair and then it just like slides up and out your butt crack?
No, that hasn't happened.
And don't look at me like that's never happened to you.
I mean, my hair don't go there. I don't know.
You've never had a hair fall down the back of your pants before?
No, I have. Probably.
You're lying.
Probably.
You're lying.
It's just not something that happens all the time.
Kyle's gaslighting me. Which leads us into our next point, relationship red flags.
Yes. And then Kris, our walking red flag, she's going to lead us into this.
I'm going to lead us in, okay? So the reason why we wanted to talk about relationship red flags is because it's important to acknowledge these. I think we've both been in relationships and situations where we probably could have avoided some heartache if we listened and saw the red flags, you know what I mean? Or saw them and actually listened to the feeling that we're getting that this is a red flag. So red flags can look very different. There can be very obvious red flags, and then there can be like this silent, creepy red flags that kind of creep up and you don't even realize sometimes until it's like too late, like you're like years into a relationship. But we thought that we would go over some and also speak from our own personal experience. I know I've had some relationships that I look back on and I'm like, how did you not see this? I was also kind of the type that would see a red flag, but if they were like hot and tall, I'd be like, whatever. You know what I mean? Like it's hard to find a guy that's taller than me sometimes. So let's dive into it. So the first one that we have on our list is love bombing.
Have you ever been love bombed?
Yes. And I didn't know until years later that that's what it was. So for those who don't know, love bombing is over the top affection way too soon. And some of this could be like you're only like dating for a week, but next thing you know, like they're planning a vacation. They want to like take you away. They want to like wisp you off your feet. And also too, it's like over the top gift giving. Now, not to say that like gift giving and chivalry is like something that it should automatically be seen as a red flag, like flowers and things like that. Obviously we all love, but this is like constant, way too soon, way too early, just like extravagant, over the top gifts. It's the over complimenting. It's just like, you feel like you're like number one and you feel so special and you feel like, oh my God, this is like my Prince Charming. So that is something that you need to be wary of. And this happened to me and I didn't really realize that it was a form of manipulation and they're just strictly disguising it as romance. So just be wary of that. Like if they send you flowers and they tell you you're beautiful, and yes, there's all the things that they need to be saying and whatever to make you feel special, but like you'll kind of be able to sense the difference to be like, holy shit, like this is a lot. If you have that feeling, then that's a love bomber.
Exactly. And you can also kind of find out like things about the previous relationships too, because like some people are like serial love bombers and they continually do the same thing and it's their same pattern, and then immediately it switches when they feel like they have the upper hand or you rely on them in some way.
Exactly.
Another one is they can't handle no. Everything has to go their way, or they're constantly talking you into like moving your boundaries, or constantly talking you into doing stuff you don't want to do.
Yeah. So it's like, say if say if you wanted to go to a party and you're like, yeah, I want to go out and I'm busy and sorry, I can't make plans, they would make that an issue. They would pout, they would sulk, they would guilt you, they would handle all these things. And that's also like another form of manipulation. It's a form of manipulation and isolation. Like they don't want you to go and do these things and live your life without them. And they'll act like you just ended the relationship. So if you're like, yeah, no, I don't want to do this, I want to go out with my friends. And all of a sudden they're just like, well, clearly you don't care about me. Clearly, like this isn't going anywhere. Clearly X, Y, and Z. Then you need to take that as a huge red flag, because if you're going to have this in like the very beginning of your relationship, it's only going to turn into like a whole other level of possessiveness.
Exactly. And I dated someone like this, and it wasn't even like big things. Like it was always like the stupidest things. And then I would start to feel like I would let them get away with it so long. And then I would like try to fight back over something really small. And then it would be like, then it would make me out to be crazy because I'm like, no, I don't want to do this. Like it'd be the stupidest things. I'm talking like down to just like rubbing someone's shoulders or something like that. And I would be like, my thumb's like the joint, like I have issues and I like, it hurts. And I would just like that constant, like, and I just knew that this was going to like turn into more things down the line.
Getting that. And you know what? It can also come off as something endearing. Like if you're with someone and they're all of a sudden upset that you're not inviting them or you're turning them down, they could kind of do it in a way that's like, oh, you don't want to spend time with me, and like really guilt you in a way where and manipulate you in a way that you almost think that they're being endearing and cute. And like it makes you feel good because you're like, oh my God, they really want to spend their time with me. But like in a healthy relationship, there should be the boundaries of like when you're like, hey, I want to go out with my friends and do this, this, and this. It should be that simple. Do you know what I mean? Like they should just be like, okay, especially in the beginning.
Exactly.
And one other thing I think that we've talked about too, and this is like a major red flag, and I think that some people don't really understand that it's a red flag, is when they're constantly trashing all of their exes.
Honestly, one of the biggest red flags, because I always say it with everything. If somebody is always saying everyone treats me like this or everyone does this and all these people do this, there's only one common denominator, and that is you.
Okay.
And so anytime anyone's like, even in business, even in so many factors of life, if someone's always trash talking an old friend, someone's always trash talking this person or something, a lot of times that's just a pattern.
Mm-hmm. And I think that what you have to remember is that I think a lot of guys will do this in the sense of trying to make their new partner or like the new person that they're trying to pursue feel even extra special by being like, oh, this one was crazy. And obviously everybody has somebody in their relationship or in their past that did things that are crazy and whatever. And we all have a toxic ex. But there's a pattern when every single person that they've dated is, oh, she's crazy. Oh, what happened with you and your ex? And every single thing is only on them or on their ex. That's a huge red flag. Because like I can sit here and I can talk about my relationships, and yeah, I trash all my exes and whatever. Like I've had some pretty shitty relationships, but I'm also able to recognize and identify like, well, this is where I went wrong. This is why I just wasn't happy with this person anymore. And it's more like a conversation about like the whole relationship and not just that he's crazy. And if he's saying that to you about like his exes, then eventually you're going to end up on that list if you break up.
And that's the thing, is it's a pattern too of like just anything that doesn't go his way, he's going to trash. But I will say, I'm like, am I the toxic one? Because I have had a lot of crazy exes, and I know that like they're really crazy. But I'm also like, I can identify that could be a little bit of my own issue of being afraid of commitment, possibly also recreating toxic situations throughout my life. Like I can admit that like part of that is on me for searching for that in an unhealthy way.
And I agree with that. And like, I'm going to be the first one to say that, like, I've been totally toxic in a relationship before. Like I've been the problem, hence the red shirt. Like I have been a red flag. Do you know what I mean? And like, I think that that's come through my own growth and my own experience to like identify these like things or whatever. But also too, like, I've been on dates with guys, and when they're saying like very specific things about their exes, like, oh yeah, like she was crazy, like she showed up to my work, like she was like messaging my friends and blah blah blah. And it's just like, so they're painting this image, but it's like, what did you do? Because I know that like I react crazy like that when there's a reason to. And I react crazy like that when like I know something's not right that the other person is doing. So it's like when they're saying things like that, you have to stop and think and be like, what did he do to push her that way? Do you know what I mean?
Oh, that's what I say with everything. Anytime I see some girl acting wild and out, I'm like, damn, that man got you acting crazy, girl. Like, what did he do? What did he...
Exactly. What did he do? It's his fault, clearly, you know?
Exactly.
I know.
I think another one is definitely like being controlling. Like, I think that's kind of like an obvious red flag of like, I can say like maybe in like a sexual kind of way, sometimes that can be a little like hot maybe, or a little something, but like not out of the bedroom. Do you know what I mean? Like that's definitely, if someone's being like overly controlling, it's just only going to get worse. And once you're like married, once you don't have the upper hand, once whatever, they're going to use that control in a way that you don't feel comfortable with.
And a few ways that you can spot this is if one of the main ways that you can spot this is if you're going out on a date and it's like in the beginning and they automatically want you to change what you're wearing. You know?
Yeah.
Like they're like, oh my God, you need to cover up, or you're not wearing that out. And like sometimes like a little bit of like possessiveness is like cute and like you said, like hot. But like, especially if you're early on dating, like that should not be happening. And also too, like if they automatically in the beginning start putting down your friends and trying to control how much you're hanging out with them or seeing them, or sort of trying to like shit talk all your friends and like, oh, this one, like after he meets them and being like, yeah, I don't really like her. Like she seems like this after just like one encounter. That's a form of control and like, again, isolation to maintain and then leverage that control over you.
That's a really good point.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I've been in relationships before and they've met my best friend and it caused a wedge between me and her. I was really young and it caused a wedge because she could kind of see his red flags and he started to kind of control how much she came around and to kind of keep me away from her so he could keep me to himself.
Exactly. Oh God, that's the hardest part, is being the friend. I have been that friend so many times and I'm just like, you're in danger, girl. But the thing is like sometimes you can't, it's a really tricky spot to be that friend in that situation, because on one hand, you want to intervene and be like, girl, like he's being controlling. This is bad. He's trying to like put a wedge between us so that you have less connection to the outside world outside of him. But on the other hand, if you do say something like that, they're going to possibility like choose him over you. And then you're going to further isolate them in that situation. And so being a friend in that situation is so hard, because it's like, when do you step in? When do you risk that? When, like, what is the proper protocol for that?
Well, and it's tricky too, because sometimes, like I've been in this situation where it's like I've called someone and I said too much. Like I've said something about like a fight that one of my ex-boyfriend and I have had, and then they have said like X, Y, and Z. So I'm just like, I can't tell them now when anything happens because they're just not going to support this relationship, and then I'm going to lose their friendship. I've been that girl where it's like I just kind of shut back and then I kind of recluse because like I'm fighting something and there's like, I'm in a bad situation, but I don't want to admit it. And sometimes, you know, it's a sense of pride of being like, I don't want anyone to tell me that my relationship's bad. You know what I mean? Like you don't really want to admit to it. So it's a really tricky situation. And like control, again, like it comes in so many different forms and so many different ways. And it's such an easy way to gain control, manipulate, and kind of start to restructure your personality, not your personality, but like your mood a little bit. It can, like I said, it can turn you into a recluse. Like it's a lot.
Exactly. And just like the great Ramona Singer from Real Housewives of New York once said, always have your own money because they can use that as control.
And you know what? That's a whole other, that's like its own episode, because it's really scary because there's so many women who automatically get, you get into a marriage, and especially when you have kids, and it's hard. Like it's hard sometimes to have your own money, because especially if you have kids and you're the one that's raising them and you can't be working, you do have to rely on your partner. And it's scary because so many women are stuck in these relationships and they can't leave. Like they physically cannot leave because they can't afford to. So that's a whole other episode.
Whole other thing, yes.
A whole other episode I could get into. Okay, so one that I've seen that's like a really big indicator of character is when you go to a restaurant and how they treat the server, waiter, all the kitchen staff, whoever they meet at the restaurant. That is a huge indicator to me.
Same. And I think that sometimes in my 20s, I dated a lot of like wealthy men, and I probably let too many things go, because at the end of the day, I feel like I'm always going to have more in common with like the worker, like I just grew up very working class. And so that is such a huge red flag when you see them be rude to like servers and like kitchen workers and like all that kind of stuff. And that is my biggest red flag. Like that is number one for me. And it shows so much about a person. And even not even just in a relationship, even in like friendships and stuff, like that should make you go run from this kind of person. Because I was friends with somebody for a while that could be really rude to like servers and like waitresses and stuff. And it always embarrassed me so much. And I just hate that part of myself that I stayed friends with them knowing that they treated people like that.
It's a huge sign, and it's their whole mindset, and it's like a dominance thing. I think when they are being clearly rude to someone, it's like they think that person's below them, and they don't respect that this is somebody who's on a job and working and trying to do their job, and whether or not they're doing a good job or not, they're still showing up and doing the job. So if somebody's rude, it's just like a form of dominance of like they're nothing. And that is a character trait that can like start to form and lead into your relationship.
Exactly.
I believe that. Like if you're going to be like that rude to this woman who's coming over and serving your food, and you're just going to start like snapping fingers and like no manners, like manners are something that you're taught at a very young age. And if you can't demonstrate manners when you're at a restaurant, a place that when you're even a child, you're taught that you have to like eat well and be nice. Like, you're in a restaurant and like, that's how you're going to act as an adult. Huge red flag. It's like a whole dominance thing. It's gross.
Yeah. And imagine if they learned that from their mother, and then that mother's going to be your mother-in-law.
Oh, no.
Oh, hell no. You know what's coming. I do remember, like, there was this one guy, walking red flag, that I did on and off for a while. But the one thing that would happen that was really hot is that we would go to this one like random diner that I've never heard of before this. And like he knew everybody who worked there. And like everybody went out of their way to give like the beyond best service, because he tipped like crazy. Like, so everywhere we would go into places, like people were always like excited to talk to him and like serve him and stuff, because he tipped so freaking well and was so kind to everybody. And I always was like, this is really hot right here.
Yeah. This is daddy power.
Yes, exactly.
Well, I have the opposite. I actually walked into a restaurant one night with one of my ex-boyfriends, and all the servers were like, hi, like all over him. Like, oh, you forgot your hi here last night. Like when they were like a little bit too friendly and flirty, red flag. But so those are some of like the obvious red flags. So I think the sneaky red flags are the ones that like you don't really see. They're not brought on strongly. And sometimes this can be something that you can start to exhibit like 3-4 months into a relationship, sometimes like a year in. Because, and here's the thing, is that red flags aren't only just at the beginning of your relationship, because a lot of people, they don't let their guards down and be fully comfortable until time down the road. So this is when these sort of sneaky, creepy, overlooked red flags will start to come out. So one of them is they joke about hurting you. So example would it be like, oh my God, like imagine I just like locked you in the basement. That's a red flag. You know what I mean? It wouldn't, like, if it wouldn't be funny, the thing that I read is that if it wouldn't be funny in a police report, then it's not funny now. So like if he's going to joke about like, oh yeah, I could just like, you know, strangle you to death or whatever, it's like, that's not funny and cute. You know what I mean? And like those things can be passed off as a joke, but like you really need to kind of be aware of those. Why are you making that face at me?
No, because I know you're about to drag me under the bus with my ex that was obsessed with American Psycho.
Okay. Okay. So, and I picked up on it. Okay. Can I tell the whole story?
Yes, go for it.
Okay. So Kyle and I were driving to the beach and she's telling me about this guy that she used to date. And she's like, it was really weird because every time that they were intimate, he would say, have you washed yourself? Are you clean? And straight away, I was like, that is American Psycho shit. And she's like, what? And I was like, that's a direct line from American Psycho. The girl's in the bath. And he's like, have you washed your vagina? Like, whatever. And she's like, that was his favorite movie. To the point where like he even had a poster up in his room. And I'm like, yeah, because that's like American Psycho shit.
No, literally, he was obsessed with American Psycho, made me watch it 1,000,000 times. And he had this massive like painting of like, it was like the Hermes logo. And it had like red, like blood splatter on it to look like a painting from American Psycho.
Yes, no, that is a fucking red flag. If they're quoting secretly things like that, like he knew that you never saw the movie. So if he's like quoting like really creepy lines like that, that's a red flag, because there is something that he's seen in that movie that he's like, I want to be that person. I want to be that fucking psychopath. Red flag, man.
Oh.
I picked up on it right away as soon as she said it. I'm like, oh, American Psycho.
Yeah. I was just so shocked when you picked up on that. I don't know. He never really joked about like hurting me or anything, but there was definitely
there were signs.
There was signs, and I'm thinking of a sign right now that's like very inappropriate that I can't share.
Yeah, we won't get into all those little all those details. That's an episode for another time.
Hindsight is 2020. They say.
Oh my god. So another one that I learned, I actually only learned what this is, and it's kind of, what is one of those words? What do you call it? Not a trigger word.
Just like a popular trendy word, like a...
Yeah, like that word. A clickbait word, or a...
Like gaslighting, or...
Yes.
Yeah.
It is gaslighting. So, okay. So basically it's making you feel crazy for having feelings, and that's gaslighting. And again, I didn't know what this was until like 2020. So what gaslighting is like you bring up an issue and they'll respond with that never happened. You're overreacting. You're just being sensitive. So there's zero accountability for the way that they've made you feel. And in fact, you leave the conversation feeling like even like you feel worse than what you did. And the reason why it's a red flag is they want to make you doubt yourself so that they can control the narrative. So if you're like, this really upset me, like I saw you talking to this girl, you know, I know that that's someone that you used to have feelings with, and I don't know why I saw you calling her last night or whatever. And all of a sudden he's pissed off. He's like, well, why are you watching me in the night? why are you up? Like, what, you don't trust me? And there's a whole list. Like, she's just a friend. Like, you're overreacting. You're being so jealous. Like, I didn't think that you were the jealous type. Like, and they kind of just like turn everything around on you. That is like typical gaslighting. And it took me a really long time to really understand what it was. And then I started looking back at my other relationships and I was like, holy shit, I've been in like gaslighting relationships like so many times.
Yeah. Wasn't that crazy how we all collectively were like learned the word gaslighting and we learned how prevalent it is and how it's like constantly rage. Yeah, it's constantly being used against us. Like it was just all of a sudden everyone came up with this term and you're like gaslighting. And then we found out what it was and we're like, oh my God, that's crazy. Oh God, do you want to know?
All making sense now.
Do you want to know my worst gaslighting story?
Oh.
And I was smart enough to catch this red flag. Seriously, like, because this is what ended this relationship. Was I was with this guy, okay, older, hot, like very, very hot. Maybe the hottest guy I've ever been, but like in an older kind of way. Anyways, he left me at a bar once. Like, we went to a bar. We were sitting at the bar drinking. He's like, I'm going to use the restroom. And then I watch him walk towards the restroom, around the other side of the bar, and out the door. Yes. And so I text him, like, where did you go? What happened? And like, he stopped responding. Yes. And then I was like, what the hell? Like, you freaking left me. And then the bartender
across the bar, I'm waving to you.
Yes. And then the bartender was like, did he leave you? And I'm like, yes, I just watched him walk out. And then he never came back. And then he wasn't answering his phone. And then finally he answered his phone. He's like, oh, I'm at this place. And I'm like, why'd you leave me? And he's like, what are you talking about? Literally, yes. So then I go to the other place. He's already left there. And then he was, this is also a red flag. I was dating he was a neighbor of mine. Anyways, but he literally an hour later starts calling me and is like, what are you up to? What's going on? And I'm like, what do you mean what's going on? What am I up to? I just got home from the bar that you ditched me at. And he's like, what are you talking about? He literally...
That's like next level.
No. An hour later tried to discredit and make me feel crazy and make me out to be insane that he did not just ditch me at a bar an hour earlier.
That's serial killer shit.
No,
it was messed up.
So crazy. And I was like, no, F you. I don't want to look at I was like, this is the craziest thing I've ever experienced. And I was immediately like, no, F you. And then that angered him so much. So then he started going to my apartment building and like calling like the call box like a million times over again. And I was just like, F you through the speaker. And I would like hang up.
Oh my God, stop.
So then finally he convinced me to go over to his apartment and talk to him about my crazy theory that he left me at the bar. That didn't happen. And I'm like, no, you did this. Like, what are you talking about? How can this go on when you're trying to tell me that something that happened an hour ago did not happen?
Oh my God.
And then he threw a shoe at me. And I was like, bye. You're
like, that's my limit.
Yes, that's my limit. Ended it there.
That's my limit. Yeah. Another one would be they can't apologize. So like your ex couldn't just apologize and be like, hey, I'm sorry. It was just like they took you down that journey and then threw a shoe at you. But it's also like they'll say things like, I'm sorry you feel that way. It's like, no, that's not an apology. That's not a real apology. You know what I mean? And it's just like, well, sorry you feel that way. That's not okay. In a healthy relationship, if you tell someone that they've done something that hurt you, like obviously sometimes there can be like a little fight in an argument. Like everybody gets defensive sometimes when they've done something wrong. However, it shouldn't be to the point where like the conversation takes like a full on negative turn and there's zero resolve. If a partner truly loves you, then they'll be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry I hurt you. They would genuinely want to care that they have upset you. They would genuinely want to care that like something that they did hurt you. So if they're not apologizing and it is just a strict likes or you feel that way, like can't help you, huge red flag. And if they can't own up to something small, then like if something big happens, they're never going to own up to that either. And that's huge, because especially if you're growing with someone and big life things happen, could be big life challenges and mistakes. And if they can't own up to those,
Exactly.
you don't want.
Their need to always be right. It's always going to get in the way in the future.
Uh-huh.
And another one, and this is a big thing for trans people or even just like plus size people, is they want to keep you a secret. That's a huge one. And I notice this, and I hear this overlap a lot about, like, there's a lot of men that are like very attracted to plus size women or attracted to trans women, and just other types of whatever they're into. But what the problem is they worry too much about what their friends think or their bros think, and so they're going to constantly try to keep this other girl that they're really attracted to in the secrets and try to date the girl that they think their friends are going to approve of.
That used to happen to me all the time. It was terrible. Terrible. Like, if you're with someone, they should be proud. They should want to show you off. They should be excited about you, and they shouldn't be hiding you, and they shouldn't need their friends' approval for certain things. You know what I mean? Like, it shouldn't be like that. Like, you should be something that they're proud of. This is one that I think is a huge one, is that they can't clap for your wins.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that's a huge one, when they're like almost resentful that you won or something and it's not always them.
Yeah, like if it's something where, you know, maybe you got like a promotion or like something big happened and you call and tell them, and then they're like, oh yeah, that's really cool, congrats, and then like put it directly back on them. That is a huge red flag, because it's like a partner should always want to support you and not compete with you. Like, even if it's something that maybe, you know, you guys were going up for like the same job promotion, who knows, whatever, or like something you guys both want. And when you get it, they should still be able to be proud for you and celebrate you. You know what I mean? Like, if they can't clap at those little things or be excited for you, that's going to be a very, very isolating feeling as well. And you're going to start to diminish yourself, and nobody should diminish your light.
Yeah. It reminds me of the classic tale of the Real Housewives. It's like these women, they've always been the housewife. They've always been second to their husbands. And then they get on Bravo and they become stars, and everyone recognizes their talents and their strengths. And they get divorced because the husband can't handle it. They can't handle that the wife is having her moment, that she is, you know, the star of the relationship, or that she's winning or making her own money or accomplishing things. Like, that really sends people over the edge.
You need to be with someone that's like an accessory to you, that is always just there, that's always going to support you, that's always going to cheer you on and be there. Like, you do not want to be competing with someone. I've been there, and it's really bad. Like, one of my ex-boyfriends and I, we used to work on the same sales floor, and that was not a great thing, especially when I was maybe going to get a promotion before him, especially whenever, like, it was terrible. And it's like, instead of him being happy for me or supporting me and being like, what can I do to help you reach these goals? How can I help your success? It was diminished, and that's not how it should be.
Not at all. So I think we should go over, just as we close this out, like what to do if you start catching red flags from somebody.
So you'll start to recognize red flags when you start to feel a certain way. If you're with somebody and all of a sudden you get that ping or you get that feeling in your gut, listen to it, because you are physically reacting and you are clearly picking up on it, and you need to listen to those signs. And if you're with someone and they have these red flags, especially if it's early on, I suggest just moving on, or bring them to their attention and see how they react. Start kind of testing some of the red flags and put them through the test a little bit and see how they handle these things. And then you can make a decision. But I think that you should reach out to have some sort of support, especially if you're in a long-term relationship and these things are happening. Reach out for support and see, maybe there's things that you guys can work through together. Maybe there's things that it's like, okay, this cannot be changed, but it can be fixed and acknowledged, you know, because some people do things and they give them the benefit of the doubt. They don't really realize that they're doing it either. So I think that it depends on like if you're bringing things to attention, and how they react is another red flag if it's negative.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I think you should always like not only just trust your gut, but try not to be the person who fixes them, because I feel like that is a big like thing that we can fall into. And I will say, like, this is my own theory. And as a trans woman, my life before hormones, I would sometimes talk to women. I would be so confused by the need to try to fix these guys sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And then post estrogen, I understand it. And I don't understand. I can't even, it's hard for me to even explain, but I'm constantly going after the person that I want to try to fix in some way. And I feel like, so that's a big trap that we can kind of like fall into. And I feel like it's so innate. Do you know what I mean? To try to fall into that.
I think it's a nurturing side of a woman. I think that sometimes a woman feels like, okay, I can care for them. I can do whatever. You also fall in love with the illusion and the idea that you have of that person in your head, who you see someone and you see their potential and you see what they could be and you believe in them and you know that they could be that person. So you kind of idolize them in your head as like this number one person that, you know they can be, and you sort of try to like fix them and wait and change because you know they can be that person. But at the end of the day, like they're normally not that person because they don't want to help themselves. Like, especially if you're in a marriage, there are things that like, you know, that you can work through and you can bring up and you can, you know, kind of get through where it's like, hey, just so you know, like, this is what you're actually doing. And like I said, sometimes they don't notice. Sometimes it's something that like, you know, they can admit and be like, oh my God, I didn't, you know, like, holy shit. And they want to change that. And people do change aspects of themselves. I've done it. And I think that there's things that you can work through, but there's obviously ones that are very like dangerous, and you need to really just make sure that you have support around you if you're going to try to like end the relationship or bring it to their attention or do whatever, because some people have a switch, especially if they're narcissistic, especially if they're super controlling, especially if, you know, they're like Kyle's ex where they're like biggest idols, American Psycho guy. Like, you know what I mean? So you need to make sure you have support when you know, dive into that.
Yeah, it's important to set boundaries with them, and just, or even just like kind of set boundaries and see how they react to you setting those boundaries.
Exactly.
And you can watch our whole episode on boundaries.
Yeah, there you go. Well, guys, I think that we've pretty much covered everything. I think we've got some red flags for you. We hope that this is helpful. We're not therapists or professionals, but we've been through the ringer with men. So we hope that that we have given you some sort of insight.
Bye. Oh, sorry.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
See you next week. Kyle's ready to go.
Yeah.
Bye.